Israelis. Right now, they're talking about joining the fight. They said there are 3 conditions for Israel to join the fight. One of them is Iran attacking them. And the other one is if they feel Iran is going to attack them, they go on a preemptive attack. And the third option would be the United States asking them to join the fight. Which one is more likely, in your opinion, for Israel to join the fight?
Well, no, Israel's going to join the fight. Israel's going to end up being attacked by Iran because of the presence of U.S. aircraft there. So it's just a matter of time.
Yeah. Pentagon, Washington Post reported that the Pentagon is planning for wider war and has been increasing the number of military aircraft deployed to the region. And
but they have a problem. Where do you base those aircraft? So they're having to pull them out of Jordan because the Jordanian bases are getting hit. And they're going to have to redeploy them to Israel, which is going to make Israel more of a target. They certainly aren't deploying those aircraft to Al Udeid or to the Al Issa in Bahrain or Salman in Kuwait. So they have fewer sites, fewer potential bases they can use.
Yeah. I think that's a very important point because after all, with these attacks, there were, as you know, yesterday it was 2 soldiers were killed, 1 missing. Today they have announced 2 more soldiers were killed. One of them in Iraq because wanted to somehow, wanted to dismantle one of the drones. Then I don't know how the drone can somehow explode. Because
if it's got a timer on it, it can explode. If they just mishandled it. So, but I guess he was trying to render it safe. And normally you don't do hand entry. You use a robot. I guess they have no robots.
Mm. New York Post reported that Donald Trump is talking about the continuation of the war. He's comparing not New York Post. We had New York Times as well mentioning that Donald Trump is comparing the war that is happening. At least he had an interview with New York Post in which he said that the war, he's comparing the casualties to Vietnam, to Afghanistan, to Iraq, and saying that the casualties the United States forces suffered in one day is more than what they have been suffering during the war between the United States and Iran. What does that mean for you when he compares these wars?
It's stupid. This war's only been going for about 46, 48 days. The other ones went on for quite a long time. If he's talking about having these wars extend for years, then they'll certainly get the casualties they're talking about. No, it's a stupid comparison on his part. But he hasn't proven himself to be pretty sharp on any of these issues. He's trying to draw a false comparison. We'll just wait and see. I think, as he's increasing the attacks right now on Iran, it's gonna blow back on him.
Because when you want to continue the war, you have to have a list of targets. Do you see the targets changing, or somehow, they have different sort of a strategy, maybe to the western part of Iran, some sort of incursion, or to the southern part of Iran? Because they're talking, I don't know if you saw the report on Fox News, they're talking about the United States is going to occupy the Qeshm Island. The Qeshm Island is not just a little island to be occupied.
The which island? The which island?
Qeshm.
Qeshm?
Qeshm Island, yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm sure the United States, there are about 150,000 people on there. So how many U.S. troops are going to be deployed to fight 150,000 people? No, it's just this is they're talking out of their ass. If they really do it, I mean, I can't rule out that they would attempt something so stupid, so insane. But there are two ways to find out. There's the easy way and the hard way, and this would be the old FAFO route. They say fool around, find out. And even if they occupy it, so what? That doesn't stop Iran from launching coastal defense cruise missiles or drones. In fact, those troops that land on it, they're going to get inundated with drones, artillery, and short-range ballistic missiles. Just I can't believe they're talking that way.
Just for those people who don't know about the Qashm Island, is the largest island, Larry, in the Middle East. It's not going to be something easy. It says that in a major ground battle, they're going to get the Qashm Island, then they'll go after Larak, Hormuz, and Hark Island and seize them. Then after that, there would be some sort of cooperation between UAE and the United States to get Abu Musa, which is the another island, one of them that UAE wants. It seems to me, is that a strategy, or somehow they're trying to intimidate Iranians?
What do you mean? I'm not following you.
Yeah, my question is, I see no strategy in what was reported by Fox News. The only reason, the only outcome of what Donald Trump is trying to do, in my opinion, is to hit in more targets inside Iran, which would be strategic targets. What are those targets, and how is that? How are they going to escalate with the targets, with the maybe different targets inside Iran to this central part of Iran? And can you hear me?
Well, yeah, no, I hear you. I'm just, I don't mean to criticize the question, but the strategic target that makes a difference inside Iran are the ballistic missile launch sites.
Yeah,
and that's not
exactly.
that's not what they're targeting. So if they can't take out the ballistic missile launch sites, or they are fooled into striking what appear to be launchers, which are dummy launchers for both missiles and drones, it's just, again, it gets back to the fact that the United States doesn't have an unlimited supply of weapons to fire at those targets. Every one they fire is one less in the inventory. And as the inventory shrinks, already I've seen now multiple articles starting to appear that are going to say that the United States inventory is getting dangerously low right now, because you don't just say, well, how many do we have that we could fire in Central Command? You have to also look at how many do you need for Pacific Command, PACOM, and how many do you need for European Command? Now, Africa Command, AFRICOM, that takes a back seat. NORTHCOM, back seat. SOUTHCOM, which deals with Latin America, that's a back seat. But for UCOM, CENTCOM, and PACOM, those are competitors. They, each one claims that they have a need, and so the point is they all got needs, but they don't have enough supply to meet those needs.
No. Khan News reported, Israeli reported that the U.S. has informed Israel that it intends to escalate its military campaign against Iran. And Larry, do you think that if Israel decides to join the fight, isn't that be a strategic defeat for Israel, a strategic mistake, or not defeat, mistake for Israel, because they're going to welcome Iranian attacks on their soil?
No, it'd be Iran. Now that Iran's using the Beidou global positioning system, the Chinese system, they have better accuracy so they'll have more accuracy. Plus, in the past, the United States and Israel were able to actually divert some of the Iranian missiles by spoofing them with inaccurate coordinates. I just checked it back as we were talking. Keshem Island is bigger than Okinawa. All right? Go back and look at how many U.S. troops had to land, both Marines and Army had to land in Okinawa to capture Okinawa. And that was a 3-month bloody battle. Now, I'm not suggesting that the Iranians are entrenched in the same way the Japanese were, but it's a big ass island and you're going to need a lot of damn troops. And they can't land that many troops there. I mean, this is craziness.
Yeah. I think at least they would need something like 50,000 troops to go there, at least.
It'd be more than that. I mean, go back, look at how many troops that were deployed against Okinawa in World War II.
Yeah, this is the island,
Right?
Larry.
Right.
Yeah, it's big. It's one of the biggest islands, as I've mentioned, in the Middle East. Just zooming out to understand how big is the Qeshm Island. Yeah.
Well, it is. Again, when you go back and look now, I just double checked the numbers. U.S. When they attack Okinawa, they did close to 200,000 troops.
Wow.
Yeah, 190,000, or between 180, 190,000, but that's almost 200,000. Right now, that 200,000 would represent almost 40% of the total strength of the U.S. Army, 45%. I said, this is just insane, what they're talking about.
Yeah. And I'm just checking here the population in the Qeshm Island. I assume that they would need something of 4-1 or 3-1 advantage if they want to go there. And we don't.
Well, it depends on the number of Iranian troops. I think there's a total of 153,000 people on that island. How many of those are IRGC or Artesh or Baji? I don't know.
Larry, do you think that they're going to put these refuelers and fighter jets in Jordan, or they're going to remove all of them and sending them to Israel?
Well, they're ultimately going to have to remove them from Israel, or remove them from Jordan and send them to Israel. I fully anticipate Iran's not going to let up on shelling those bases in Jordan. Shut those down. Take out the air refuel. The fuel storage tanks on those bases. Then those planes can't get refueled. It's a real simple concept. So then they go to Israel. That's going to make Israel the target.
There are no bunkers in Jordan or other American bases for these forces. Yeah.
Well, there may be. I'm pretty sure there are some bunkers, but they're not underground. They're not heavily fortified. They're, I'll call them makeshift. I don't know if they've had time to actually construct, bunkers prepared to resist ballistic missiles.
Yeah. Here is the footage of one of the forces that was filming during the attack when the missile hit the target, Larry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, the size, depending on the size of that explosive, you get a blast wave, a concussive wave that can cause a traumatic brain injury. Then you get the actual blast and the heat and the fragments. So, yeah, obviously, he was close.
He was in the open, by the way. It doesn't seem that he's in a bunker or somewhere like that. It seems that all these, I don't know how many of these soldiers were hit, were influenced by the attack or by the waves of the missile. But so far, there was no information. It wasn't reported clearly that how many of these people were influenced. They said that 2 of them were killed, 1 of them missing, 15 of them were sent to Germany. That's the whole report on the part of CENTCOM. And today, SAS said at least 150 people could have been influenced by this attack.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how many soldiers do they have there in Jordan. That is important.
They don't have a lot of soldiers. They'll have airmen, people attached to the Air Force, because these are not, this is not an army outpost. This is for air operations. So there's primarily Air Force personnel.
Here is, let me bring the photo here of all these air bases, all these bases in the West Asia, Larry. Let me just bring that. And, where is that? I'm going to bring that up. I want to show you the bases around Iran and to see how many of those bases were somehow hit by these missiles. It seems that all these bases around the Persian Gulf were somehow neutralized or somehow hit.
Yes.
They have radars, no radars there, and they're using HIMARS mostly in Bahrain and Kuwait. I don't know if they're still having those HIMARS in these 2 countries.
So the HIMARS, remember, HIMARS are launchers. They're not missiles. And the only missiles they have, if launched from Bahrain or Kuwait, is the PRSM. And there may be fewer than 20 of those missiles, if that.
Here is the list of the bases, Larry. You go from Oman to Qatar and UAE, then Kuwait, and going up. You see, and these 2 missiles, it seems that are Israelis using these 2 bases in Jordan as well?
Well, okay, so yeah, no, they're not showing. They're not properly showing the bases. So you've got Al Dhafra is being used. Al Udeid has been basically largely evacuated. They're not showing you Al Isa or 5th Fleet headquarters there in Bahrain. And then in Kuwait, they're not showing you the Ali Salman airfield. And they're not showing you the other, get the name of the army camp that's located up in the north part of Kuwait. Showing the air bases in Iraq, not terribly relevant, because Iraq's not really going to let those air bases be used for strikes against Iran. And then you got Erbil, which has been under attack. That Al-Tanf in Syria, it's gotten a lot of attention, but I don't, for the life of me, understand why they would have any U.S. forces deployed there. Can't do anything. That base was entirely for the war against Bashar al-Assad anyway. So, and then you got the 2 air bases there in Jordan. That's the key. So there are about 9 bases, and then 9 locations that Iran's focused on. 2 in Kuwait, 2 in Bahrain, 1 in Qatar, 1, possibly 2 in UAE. 1, they haven't focused on the airfield in Oman. So then you got the 2 in Jordan.
Here are the bases in Jordan, Larry. And it seems that the base is Prince Hassan. France is using that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not an accurate map because the Prince Hassan Air Base is the same as that. That's Muwafiq al Salti, or I mean, Muwafiq al Salti is the King Abdullah II base. What they call Mafraq is the same as H5 Prince Hassan. So that to my knowledge is not an accurate map.